I saw the meeting that they hosted on CB14 back in November, and after some information I got in like last month from the Parks Department, I just felt like we should all gather and speak about it instead of sending a bunch of text messages back and forth. That would be cool, and also to see each other and make sure that everyone is still involved. Um, so um,
Marizon,
yeah, yeah,
may I have a suggestion, please?
sure.
Can we just 1 minute or less introduce and participation?
Sure. I didn't know if people wanted to be like anonymous or whatever, but
Yeah,
yeah, we
well,
could.
if we are working together, we have to know who we are working with.
Yeah, that's
In all fairness, right?
yeah, I understand. So, uh,
So I'm going to go first since I made a suggestion.
okay.
I'm Mubayaro Fulani. I am one of the members from African Graves Mother who rallied that of so-called affordable housing should not be placed on our ancestors' um, burial ground. So I'm Mubayaro Fulani.
Nice to meet you, Mama Muba. Who wants to go next?
Good evening, all. Joan Alexander Bakudin, former chair of Community Board 17 and president of the Brooklyn branch of the NAACP. Thank you for this convening for a zone. I look forward to continuing our collaboration and that with Councilmember Rita Joseph, thanking her for the great work that she's been doing to shepherd this process. And thank you, Mama Muba, for always collaborating with Core Zone and with us to make sure that we stay the course. And welcome, Dr. Fato.
Nice to meet
Well,
you.
that was a nice
You're welcome.
segue. Thank you, John. Um, I know several of the people on here. My name is Adele Flatteau, and I'm a member and a co-chair of the African Atlantic Genealogical Society. We're based here in Brooklyn, and we focus on doing research on our ancestors and helping people to discover who their ancestors are. And it's a good group. We have about 100 people overall that we're in touch with, and we meet every month virtually, sometimes in person. We do trips to museums and historical sites. We got involved a few years back with the African Burial Ground, but then I think after um, there was sort of like a changeover in leadership with the government and with agencies. We kind of got lost in the process. Corazon has stayed in touch with us, but we really wanted to find out what the latest update is and what kind of support is needed and in which direction. So I'm here to learn and share, and some of the other OGS members are on tonight also.
Thank you. Huh? Miss Linda is here.
Yes, I'm here. Good evening, everybody. I'm glad we're getting back together and picking up where we left off. I'm from OGS as well.
Hi, this is Sakina. I'm from the African Atlantic Genealogy Society as well. And I'm a board member and I'm interested in what's going on.
Cool. Nice to see you, Miss Akina. Who else wants to go? Or should I call out names? I'll just introduce myself. My name is Corazon Valiente. I live like 3 blocks away from the burial ground, and I have a lot of interest in like several, like bunch of things, from the media to cooking and all types of stuff. But it was just that I've always grown up with the notion of honoring the ancestors and doing what you could to keep their stories alive and bringing it forward to the future, not just for myself, but for my nephews and I guess my future children too, if I get blessed to do that. And uh, even though I don't always like to do a bunch of group things, the call and want to honor the ancestors had made me want to do more of this stuff because it felt that that was more important than any like type of personal thing that would keep me from participating. So, uh, and plus I like to mix around, see little people here and there and stuff like that. So that's fun. And so I'm glad to see that people from all the types of groups that I've run into were able to come in, like the OGS group, that's really cool. And I see Debbie's here, that's nice. So, yeah. Does someone want to go next? Or should I just start next? Okay, cool.
Do you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, and I see you too.
Yes. Good evening. Marie Fraser, District Manager of Community Board 17, and thank you guys so much for the invitation to be part of the African Burial Ground meeting. Of course, I've been there from the inception, protesting, wanting to ensure that our ancestors or the sacred ground and the stories of those laid to rest there are really told with dignity and pride. So thank you. I look forward to supporting the continued advocacy and the preservation of that site. And of course, I am a bridge between the ground and the community. I received several calls last week regarding I later regarding a tractor. I think that's what was said to me. I don't know what type of vehicle was there, but someone called and said, "Do you know there's a tractor on the African battleground?" And I said, "A tractor? What is a tractor doing there?"
Oh,
And she
yeah.
said, "I don't know, but they're digging up the ground." And I said, oh no, they're not. I'm not aware of any activities happening there." So I kind of reached out, and then I found out that they were doing some testing, but it was eventually stopped. Um, and then I found out about this meeting. I wanted to be here so that when I receive calls from the community, I am knowledgeable and aware of exactly what's happening and how to relay that information to them. So thank you for having me.
Awesome. Thank you for coming.
Who is doing it?
If I sometimes mute, it's only because my mother's in the room. She was asking some questions. I guess I don't have to mute when I'm speaking to her, but she's also listening in.
Peace, cortisone. How are you?
I'm great, thanks. And you, Miss Nzinga?
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you. Thank you for having this meeting. Just like the sister was just saying. I was just curious. I heard her saying she said attractive. Was that attractive with the Parks Department?
Can can I just interrupt? I'm so sorry, but this is just introduction, right, Corazon?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we were going to everything as we move along.
All right.
I'm sorry. I just want us to like stay on.
Yep.
Yeah.
No problem.
But did you have anything else to introduce about yourself, Nzinga, or?
Well, I've been haven't been around for a minute, but I've been working with yourself, Muba, and with the African burial ground. I don't know about. It has to be about maybe about I don't know how many years, but it's been some time. I was there when we put up our signs. They took down our signs. We put them up again. They took them down, and I was there when Eric Adams was the mayor and Eugene Matthew. They were trying to put a building there in a so-called quote affordable housing unquote. So I've been working with the ground for quite a while now, but like I said, I haven't been around recently, but I've been in the loop. Thanks to Cortisone and others, Muba and Miss Davis, keeping me in the loop and keeping me updated as to what's going on. So when I heard the Zoom was happening tonight, I was happy that to be a part of it so that we can so that I can hear about what is happening because I went over there yesterday and it's like they cleaned it up. I didn't see any anything on the grounds, but it looks like they cleaned it up. I don't know what's happening, but I guess we'll learn tonight.
Well,
So thank you.
thank you for coming. Regina,
Mm-hmm.
Regina, I see your hand, but I also see Councilmember Joseph is here. I don't know if she wants to introduce herself quickly, or Regina, you want to go, or what?
Good evening, everyone. I'm Councilmember Joseph. I know it was said before, I'm the one who took over Matthew Eugene's seat, and I've been working on this African burial ground since I got here. So I'm here for the meeting, talk, and see how we can work together.
Cool. Thank you. Regina.
Hi, my name is Regina Robinson. I'm here because of Corazon. He is the reason why I began to have interest in the African burial ground. I am just a citizen that happens to have be a member of the culture that this burial ground. Um, so it's important for me to want to preserve it. I just want to help in any capacity that I can regarding communications and getting the word out for any um, activities or events or documenting the journey of this group.
Well, thanks for coming, Regina. So I think Debbie, are you going? Yeah.
I didn't hear you.
Oh no, I was just saying thank you for introducing yourself, and then
I'm
and
going
then
to
I did,
introduce myself. Um, Thank you, Corazon, for inviting me. I didn't know about this space, even though I also am a neighbor. I live very close to CB14, and then Corazon invited me, and I appreciate the invitation to get to know more about how important it is to the community and also to help in any way. Any time you need my assistance to support or help you clean or do anything in the burial ground, I'm happy to support.
cool. Thanks for coming, Debbie.
Sure.
Uh, so I guess that's everybody. I don't see any other names. Okay, cool. So um, I guess I'll just if you could see the screen, give a thumbs up. I want to make sure you can see the slide. Someone can give a thumbs up.
I can see it.
Okay, cool. Okay. Um, well, I mean, mostly it was just that I wanted us to get together because it felt like stuff was starting to really move. Like how Ms. Sharif said that last week someone called about the tractor. I was checking the mail and saw this truck out there and people like running all around the grounds, and he was being kind of secretive. So I felt like, oh, we need to get together so that we can find out what's going on. And because it looks like they're getting ready to really move with these plans. On November, they gave a presentation stating that before any type of project is done, that they have to speak with the Public Design Commission, and it was that Design Commission that told them to reduce some of the items that they had presented to them, and that's what these marks are. They had included some things and taken some things away, like they included this overhead structure. They over here was something that said something like atrocities, and Commissioner Maher during his presentation in November said that the commission felt that coming into the space and running into atrocities was kind of harsh to do, and so they wanted them to redo this area. They moved the entrance from Church Avenue to Bedford, and now you get to go through like the accomplishments and stuff. This is what it looked like before. Oh, that's something else coming in. This is what it looked like in March. That was the first plan that they had presented to the board. And as you can see, there's the entrance there. And this is what it looks like from the like aerial shots. I thought that was cool. That's what they're gonna go with now. And I gave like a little screenshot of what plants they plan to put in there. That was just so we knew what because someone had asked me what was the Public Design Commission, and I had no idea really what they were. So I just copied their intro and their like link to the page. And then these were just some pictures. That was like the truck that I saw last week, and then this is what I saw earlier that week that they had posted up that they were planning to begin the environmental testing. They didn't put a date on it though. It just said they were going to begin it, and someone from Mama Muba had sent them a photo of that. I don't know, it looked like a big thing that was just sticking stuff right into the ground. It wasn't even like a tractor. It was like some type of excavator type of thing. And I did want to put that once Councilmember Joseph had found out about it, she did issue a statement that she was requesting them to stop any testing on this space until we could gather like more people, or she could gather more people to speak about it and find a way to ethically go about ensuring that they weren't going to be disturbing, bones. I did. These were what Melinda had asked me to put on the agenda, but since she's not here, I don't know if we can. We could still talk about it. She had some questions, like she was wondering about, I guess, ways to engage Mayor Mamdani, and wanting to find out about how we could, I guess, figure out ways to get more money for the space. What would that look like? So. And also, I really just want this to be like a conversation, not like me reading through a whole agenda. And let's just talk.
What do you mean in terms of funding? More money?
Well, Melinda made it sound like she has like this idea that like the Mellon Foundation and stuff like that, that they're looking for diversity projects or whatever to fund, especially during these times with Trump and whatever, that they want to stick out that way. And I don't know what connections she has, like to name them, but it's just that she knows of ways to do that. I know she's a bid manager, and she's used to looking through RFPs. So I've asked her before for advice in reviewing that type of stuff.
So this project came with a $4 million budget that I was able to allocate from the previous council member that was here. That's why I created a task force. I had to create a task force that had to go before CB14 in order to move the funding over. The funding was in HPD because this site was designated for affordable housing until the community realized that this was sacred land. So I was able to create the task force, move the funding over. Once the task force was created and they understood that this was sacred land and what we wanted to do with it as a community, we were able to move the $4 million into parks. So the design that you saw at CB14, I don't know how many people were in that first meeting where everybody brainstormed about what they would like to see. So that's where that design came from. The design is not final. This is a work in progress. It's only 30%. And the project, and if you could look on Parks timeline, you could see where they are. There's a timeline. They have a timeline chart as to every project on where it is. Last week, what you saw was a boring, and I told them borings cannot happen on the land without community consent. We have to bless the land. We have to know what's happening. And that's why it was immediately stopped. Once I reached out to Parks and I called the commissioner myself and I said, this is unacceptable. You saw that in my statement. So there has to be community engagement. Come out. We've been doing community engagement since 2019 when folks discovered this land. And folks who may not know, they built two things on this. There was a public school and was demolished. They built a yeshiva. But one little dark secret the city probably never mentioned was the fact that they knew there were remains there because they had a whole anthropology company in the 2000s that knew there were remains on this land. As most folks don't know that. As we continue to discover more African burial grounds, there's one in Harlem, there's one now in Staten Island. We have to create the infrastructure. How do we preserve Black culture? So the infrastructures have to be built. Task force, even on our agenda as council members, we have a whole Black agenda to make sure these sacred spaces are preserved for generations to come. So this is not an easy task to do it. I know, and I'm an open book and I'm transparent. You have questions, I will always ask them, and you can ask the hard questions as long as folks are not disrespectful. I'm fine with that. The hard questions are there to answer because at the end of the day, in 4 years, I'm handing this over back to the community. We have to man it. We have to manage it. We have to take care of it because what's underneath belong to all of us.
Thank you for that. I guess about the anthropology survey that was done in the 2000s. I was speaking with someone who, I guess, was security or whatever at City Hall, and she claimed that they had misplaced the remains. Is there any truth to that, or?
When we came in on the project, we had heard some of that. So we're trying to work with, like we're working with Rodney Leon, who's the original architect for the African burial grounds in Lower Manhattan, to help us, because his job has always been to preserve Black space, sacred spaces, historical spaces. So we're working on them. Yep, they had misplaced because they disregarded it, right? They found it, they're like, oh, just a bunch of bones, we don't know. And they kept on moving. So they had misplaced. I know there's a study that he said that he has that we can also review. I think you have folks with their hands up.
Yes. Thank you for that. Miss Adele and then Mama Muba.
Yes, thank you. I'm just trying to, because I guess I'm missing a lot of gaps of information in terms of what's happened over the past couple of years. Can you just describe in general what the current state of the design is? Is there like a physical structure involved? Is it just a garden type setting? Are there going to be monuments? Can you give like just a general overview of what is the current design?
You saw the design. What you saw in the this is what it looks like. Right here.
It's hard to tell from just those,
There's a circle here, there's trees. They're looking also for plants that would naturally be there in the time period that they know this existed. That's why you have some of the plants. And some of them is not, some of it is structured like tiles, but trees, more reflection. That's what folks were asking for in the first meeting. I'm not sure if it's recorded. If I could track it down, I could share it. Folks were looking more of a place of reflection. I have folks who reach out and say, don't build anything there. Just leave it as is and just put information about it. This is what it looks like.
Is that better for you, Miss Adele?
Adele?
Yeah,
We can email it to you.
yeah, I guess.
So right here. There's a name wall.
What's the circle that's there in the center there? What is that?
Well, the original one, they just had like a plain open space, and then when they came back in November, they said they wanted to do like an overhead structure. It's not gonna be it's not like a bound like walls. It's more like sticks, I guess. If I just I guess I could open the whole presentation that they did.
Do you have the whole presentation?
Yeah. Let's see where I put it.
This design was based on feedback for the community engagement that they had with community members.
Well, it was even following that first review. You could reconvene this.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Mamu, I see your hand.
This is an ongoing feedback. This is not final. This is not the final project. This is just a brainstorm. When you're writing, you brainstorm and you continue to revise and edit with community voices. Similar to the monument of Shirley Chisholm that'll be in my district on Parkside and Ocean, we went back to the design because it was too tall based on community feedback. So we went back to redesign.
No, that's March 6th. No, I was opening up the wrong one. But I'm good. While I get the document, Mama, did you want to say something? Because I see your hand is up.
Thank you so much. Again, I want to thank you, Corazon, for allowing us to be in this space. We know the importance of us all being here. So I'm not going to address what the council member just spoke on as yet. But however, I would like to ask the question. I mean, I want to be clear because she spoke on several things. I'm speaking about what should be placed there. I would have come back to it. I would really like to have a conversation about it. But first and foremost, I would like to ask exactly how much rights does the Parks Department have towards this burial ground in decision making?
I missed part of that because my nephew came in asking about pizza. I'm sorry.
Okay. Did anybody else hear it or should I repeat it?
Go ahead, repeat.
Okay, how much rights does the Parks Department have or decision making towards what is being built or done to our African burial ground?
It's all community led, and that was told them from the beginning. What you see here on this draft, this is what community told them they wanted to see based on the first meeting they had.
Okay, and
Maintain it. Well, yes. And what I would like to see, this is the vision, right? Like, for example, EDC has an RFP right now out for a group to be the conservancy group for the African burial ground in Harlem. So they just found one in Harlem, and they found trays and trays of remains. And they put an RFP for a group to come in and be that caretaker. There can be that opportunity as well.
So I would like to give an update as to when we actually, this is African Graves Mother, when we actually met with the borough president's office, we met with the mayor's office and city council, and we talk about what we would like to see, not just us, because we were in the streets and we were actually interviewing people pertaining to the African burial ground. And plants were once talked about being placed there. However, with the outreach we have done, and not just us, but other groups, we were actually trying to inform them that we need a memorial building put up there that people can go in and visit and read and really learn more about where the African burial ground began and the history of our ancestors within that community. So now I'm hearing, according to the councilwoman, that they are more focusing on trees being there, not necessarily a space
We're
where.
not focusing on trees. I brought up the part of the trees because we have to put trees that would fit there in that time. I'm not talking about that's the only thing that's going to be there. That's part of
Okay,
it.
thank you very much. I appreciate that clarification. We want trees. Anywhere we are, we need trees in our surroundings because we know the natural importance of that in our. Okay, so I feel a little better with clarification as to um, where we are going. Another question I wanted to ask you, what was the testing about?
The testing was supposed to see if the soil was contaminated. That was supposed to be it, but it wasn't supposed to go the way they wanted to do it. I wanted community to know that it was going to happen, what was going to be entailed. I'm still an educator at heart. I always want to make sure folks have all the information they have so they can make the right decisions. And if community said, hey, maybe we don't want that.
So therefore, Councilwoman Joseph, so therefore we are saying, how do the Parks Department go about, because the very first time they tried to get community involved in decision making, it was a disaster. How are they supposed to go about getting the community involved, really doing outreach to the community, not only at a certain level, but truly throughout the community? How do they get that to happen? Or what role are you going to play to make sure that happens?
Well, outreach, when we do it, folks show up. When I did a community outreach personally myself, only 2 people showed up. Only
Is
2
that,
people showed up. And it was Corazon and somebody else
but
at the Morris Heights Center. It was just you and somebody else. That was it.
is there a way to maybe do it hybrid in the future, like a Zoom thing? Because I never.
Yeah, the first one was done on Zoom, and we wanted folks to come out, right? So what one of the models I used for the Shirley Chisholm Monument was I created poster boards, and people went around the room to see what I wanted them to see it in real time. Like move from board to board, make suggestions at the same time. Come with your post-it. I don't like this part. Let's add this. Let's take away this. Let's move this. That's the way I wanted the community engagement to be. I didn't want, yeah, I love Zoom, I love technology, but I wanted it to be people to people. See, that's how I did it with the Shirley Chisholm Monument that's going to go in Parkside and Ocean. We met in a room, we did a slide just like you did. We showed the slide and then we had poster boards. Folks got up. They talked to each other. You know, what do you think if we did this? And that's what community engagement looks like to me.
So at your meeting, you said Odi Corazon and one other person
One other person.
attended. And I just want to understand, because I mean, we have done a lot of outreach as African Graves Mother.
And you never
We
outreached to me not one
we
time.
no, yes, we did. As a matter of fact, you came to the African Burial Ground on 2 occasions, and we were there with you
And then I never
speaking.
heard from you again.
No, and we made 3 appointments. I have it documented, Councilmember Joseph. We have it as email where we would like to meet and speak with you. Miss Betty, myself, we have that documented, but we are not going to stay on that right now because we can always move forward and make sure what was not in place will become in place, because the focus is our ancestors where they are. We want to make sure that it remains sacred. So let's not, I'm not going to go there with you. I just want us to figure out how can we do a better outreach, because somewhere, somehow, that outreach with 2 people attending, it could not have been to the level it should have been. I did not come. I didn't even know about it. I have people who live very close, and unfortunately, they too didn't know about it. I'm not going to point a finger, but I'm asking how can we, as we move forward, do an outreach where we get more people in conversation towards the decision making of the African burial ground. I can assist in whichever way needed, and I will get other people to assist in whichever way needed.
Okay. Okay. I'll be sending out an email shortly with our next engagement.
Cool. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Regina, I see a hand.
Yes. I'm just here to listen, but if you could just because in my experience, the best way to do outreach for events is you have to meet people where they are and do a combination of social media, email, flyers with QR codes, you know, passing out flyers, having poster boards. Um, that is the best way to get people of different media platforms in which they can attend, in person. You have to kind of do it as a hybrid kind of thing, where you have in person and you all have a digital aspect to it. So, if we could work to come up with an actual communications plan to make sure that the community's needs are being met for messaging, that would be great. And it's just that I know it's just kind of hard to fight through the noise, because it is a great, thing that you're doing. But it's like with people, they have such short attention spans. So it's really hard. But there's a lot of ways to get around it that are low cost or free that we can explore.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Good notes.
Well, I'm also CM Joseph. I'm glad that you mentioned that that is not the final design, because the way Commissioner Maher presented it, it made it sound like that was kind of it. Because I sent them some questions about what I saw, because I'm pulling from my experience as a caregiver of someone who is blind, and so I wanted to find out how specifically could blind people or people who are in wheelchairs or using mobility aids also get to experience the space. And I put their responses up on the screen, but essentially they were just saying that there's no specific features that are included for low vision. They acknowledge that because of the way that they cannot put something, I guess, concrete right up into the tree, because that palliative tree, because several people expressed to me that they would love to get up close to it and touch it, but they are differently able. So what ways could they get to it? And I guess that's just a thought that about how we could do that. Someone during the call on in November had mentioned what ways they would be able to, I guess, make it to make the space permeable to make sure that the rainwater wasn't just cast off. I don't know if that's something on your radar there, but I did also ask them about, I guess, ways to keep the space alive and what type of, I guess, educational features could be there. Then that was why I guess Melinda was telling me about, ways to engage private donations for that type of stuff. Some people did ask me about bathrooms. I know bathrooms would then, if you do a bathroom, you're gonna have to dig somewhere, and then that's a whole thing. So if people say that they do want a bathroom or don't want a bathroom, then I guess how do you plan, or how do people plan around that to help support bathroom access while they're at the space? I do see people now just peeing at the side of in the corner there. And I mean, I've yelled at them. I mean, I feel bad about it, but that's not going to stop people from going.
Right.
So
Definitely more of the language access. I do see that. I had worked on a curriculum for the African burial ground. I worked on a curriculum, and one of the things we want to do is I don't know if anybody's familiar with the Black Studies curriculum. There's a Black Studies curriculum from K to 12. I always believe curriculums are living, breathing documents that we can also add the African burial ground to it. So as we're finding them across the city, the one for Harlem, we found it last year. It was found and the one in Staten Island was found the year before. So that we're discovering them. So there's also, we have to be mindful of how do we preserve them, as I mentioned before, create a task force to see how can we also make it part of tourism. New York City has a tourism office. Make sure that it's in there so folks know that when they come to the city, they can visit these sacred spaces.
cool.
So, Councilwoman Joseph, would you be interested in having a historian work on that with you? I know someone that's a historian. I'll have to ask her first, whatever research you have. And she's been really great at putting together educational programs as she was a former educator herself. And she also has a book that she's written geared towards young children about certain Black female leaders. But I contact her and see if she would be willing to with you on this.
I
Okay.
also want to call your eye
Would
to
that help?
Dr. Plateau being she's also in attendance, and that's kind of what they do, and she's been involved with this. So I also want to make sure that she's not lost in this conversation.
Thanks, Joan.
Razon, you have 3 hands up.
Yeah, Mamu, I don't know if that's a legacy hand, but I do see Nzinga put her hand up, and so does Sakina. Miss
No,
Sakina.
my hand is up again, but allow anybody else, please.
Okay, Nzinga and then Sakina.
Yeah, well, my question was kind of answered because I recall at the beginning, one of the things that we were had discussed since Erasmus and PS6 are the two schools right adjacent to the burial ground. One of the things was how would those schools be involved with respect to curriculum? And I heard the council member talk about a curriculum, so I don't know. Um, I mean, I guess it's a general curriculum, but I don't know how much the two schools that are right near the burial ground would be involved in it. The other thing was that in the photos, someone mentioned earlier that it's hard to tell. And to me, it just looks like, and I understand it's an unfinished product, so to speak. It's still being worked on. But one of the things, I was at that first meeting with Parks Department, and one of the things everyone made consensus on was that we wanted a memorial, a place for people, a building for people to go into and look at the history where they could read, look at video. And someone had mentioned at that meeting a kiosk where people can would know, at the entrance. I don't know where it would be at the entrance, but where people would have, like, so to speak, a map as to how to navigate through the burial grounds, through that space, so they could see. And we talked about how many floors: first floor, second floor, third floor. So I don't know if that's still on the table. So that was one of the questions that I had. Um, and I appreciate that I heard someone say, as to different ways for outreach. We living in a social media world, Instagram, Facebook. Someone said we got to meet people where they are, because I had no idea about that meeting that took place, and it's okay. But so if we're gonna have community input, we have to have more than two people show up at the meetings, and we, the community, have to make sure that that happens. So I'm not sure if everybody, even on this Zoom, is on the email that the council member is going to send out. So that's just another thing with respect to outreach. So those were some of the things I was considering. I was thinking about when I was listening to what people were saying.
Noted. Of course, PS6 and Erasmus Hall will be part of it. My vision was, as you said, if a building were to be, I would want the students to lead it. They are the next generation. They are the voice. I believe in young people. We definitely want to make them part of the conversation. I told PS6 about the sacred space that we have in our district. Like I said, a lot of people didn't know that it even existed because they built twice on it. So they just thought it was a piece of land that was just there because they built the public school, New York City public schools. They built the first building on there, and then the second building was a yeshiva.
They built 3 times on it: 1894, 1994, and 2004. But in 1894, they knew then
They
that
knew
there
that.
were,
Yep.
right. And you mentioned that, I think.
Yep. They knew then. They misplaced the remains that they found. So one of the things we want to do in the New York City Council is to do a hearing on African burial grounds to say how they were mishandled.
Right.
And how that to me, again, erasure, anti-Blackness, all of that.
Right. Yeah.
So can I also chime in, because part of the issue, that part of the issue in the community was that it was not lost on anyone who lived in the surrounding area that none of those buildings stood the test of time. Right? That was the running joke, that each time they built on the space, on the bodies, on our ancestors, they sought to disrupt it. And at the foundation, most of those buildings did not stand.
Right. Right. And I remember when I was teaching at PS6, I remember there was this one teacher, she used to always say, Jay, you didn't see something go by? And I'm like, no. Because they said PS6 was also part of it as well.
It is argued that the adjacent car lot, the gas station, that all of it is a part.
So I'm working on what I would have to do is run a GPR on that, and we would have to do a dig. And if it remains there, then I could claim eminent domain. I have to prove that their bodies remains there, then I could claim eminent domain.
What's a GPR?
Oh, it's
ground penetrating radar.
Ground penetrating radar.
Yeah, like an X-ray of the land.
Okay.
Where you honor the remains and you don't disturb the land while looking below it.
Yes. Right.
Oh, they didn't. I thought that was done already.
No, that piece of land, someone bought it. There's a lot right next door. It's locked. Someone bought it. It belongs to someone. So I would have to have access to go on that piece of land. That's adjacent to it. That's another piece of land. I don't know who sold it to him, but it belongs to someone else.
But just for history's sake, that burial ground started on Kings Highway and Church Avenue.
Yes.
That's how far it goes.
That's how far it goes, right. So that Dutch Reformed Church.
Thankfully, right, we found that space before they built on it. Thankfully.
Sakina, I see your hand, and then after you, I wanted to ask a question.
I wanted to add, well, I don't know if you're going to use like panels, like low panels, um, so that people, actually to show the information of the burial ground. And also, um, I was wondering if the names of the people who they feel that are buried, will they be displayed?
Yes, there's a part on there. You can see
Yeah.
it. The names will be there, right there.
Yeah, this is it here.
Names will be determined based on historical evidence in collaboration with the community and consultation of historians.
So how many graves do they assume that are there?
If I may say something, initially, from what I understand from my research, supposedly the ancestors that were in that site, they were supposedly interned at the Dutch burial ground on Flatbush and Church.
Right.
But when they did the research, when they excavated that land, they weren't there. So at that time, back then, there was a question as to how many uh, people were at that site. And I don't know if they found out yet.
There's still research happening because they, just as we're saying, that's why we started to change our demand for them to reinter the remains that they removed.
Right.
Because the ones that they did know of, we wanted them to return them, and the ones that they misplaced, we wanted them to find them. So the count is inaccurate, specifically because of what has happened to desecrate the site. And then further compounded, in 2005, there was a news report of bones that were found,
Yep.
and of a young person running with a skull on a stick. It's unclear whether or not those bones were reinterred, and if so, where they were reinterred. So all this trauma is why we're hyper vigilant about this space.
So my question was to circle back to the education portion. I was aware of the Black curriculum studies thing, but I was just wondering, is it implemented in all the schools? Are they teaching it now? Like every student is getting access to that class?
No.
So right now, it's only 100 students, so we're pushing the state. Remember, the city cannot tell the school system what to teach. They can suggest. So right now, the Black Studies is currently in 100 schools. We're pushing for it to be in all 1,800 schools from K to 12.
Okay, thanks for that clarification. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, the state has power. I can't tell them to teach it. I could create the curriculum, fund it, and then hopefully somebody has sense to tell them to teach it.
And my other question was, I remember someone mentioning that other church that's like on Church Avenue and I don't know, going towards where the train station is.
St. Paul's.
Yeah,
St. Paul's. They supposedly have other records, so that's why Pastor Hamlin will be very important in this conversation.
Okay. Thank you. Mamu, I know you have your hand up, but Miss Adele hasn't spoken yet, I don't think, to ask a question. So I'd like to hear from her, and then we'll circle back to you.
Thank you. I was just wondering if anyone has tried to trace possible descendants of the people who were buried in the African burial ground.
Yeah, there was with Parks, there was something that Lefferts House was one of the original. They said they had a list of the folks that were living there. They believed they were buried there. So that's one place we can start.
I know the Lenape Indians were there. I know that came up in the research. So I'm not, the Lenape were definitely buried there, interned at that site.
So the Lefferts House is a place we can start, Adele?
Yes, as a matter of fact, I'm glad you mentioned that. Some of us from the AUGS group, the genealogy group, we actually attended a lecture at Lefferts House about 2 years ago, Sakina, right? And they had identified, might have been around 15 people who were enslaved there. At that time, though, there was no connection made from them to the African burial ground. They were just uncovering what they had discovered in terms of the people who were enslaved at Lefferts House. But it makes sense what you're saying, that, there is a connection to
Yes.
the African burial ground, because probably that was the main burial ground for this area
Right.
for Africans.
I forgot his first name. St. Paul, let me see, Pastor Hamlin. I just know him as Pastor Hamlin. Yes. I only know him as Reverend Hamlin.
Okay, well, I guess that's how he's going.
What do you have to say?
Oh, but I guess, well, I mean, if I find that any information, Miss Linda, I'll send it to you. Mahmuba?
I'm sorry, is it Jeffrey Hamlin?
Oh,
I never knew his first name. St. Paul, let me look.
The reason I asked, that happens to be one of my surnames,
Oh, okay.
going way back. So I'm just wondering if there's a possible connection.
Okay.
Mahmuba?
Thank you, Corazon. Council member, I was so glad. I'm happy to hear about the Black cultural piece, because I don't know if you're aware, or any of you are aware, that many years ago legislation was passed for Harriet Tubman to be part of the lesson plans for all New York City public school. It never got implemented. So if we can fight to make sure that this is something that we can get implemented, know that we are here to support whichever way we can. Now the NAPI people, we African Graves Matter, we did get in touch with some of those folks, asking them to get involved, so that we will get some idea as to how many of them may have been buried at that site. And Zinga, before I move on, I'd like to thank you so much for your contribution to our Zoom. My question to Council Member Joseph, is it? I know you stated that the community may say, well, we don't need testing done, but is the testing necessary? And if it is necessary, how soon do you think it will begin again? Because we have to make sure that things are moving on, because it's been years already since we had this fight for that space to be, zoned as supposed to be.
Absolutely. One of the things I'm gonna say here, one of the things that we had an issue with, everyone they brought on board did not look like us. So that was my first issue.
Thank you.
But here's two things I'm seeing, right? So we got to also create pipelines for our young people to go into those fields. We're not represented in those fields. I'm gonna be honest with you. We're not represented enough in the anthropology space, in the archaeology space, in parks, and all of that other stuff. We're not represented. So we have to find a way to let young people know that this is a career pathways. That's one theory. Second theory, I told them no one looks like us, so we need to bring, other than Emmanuel, no one else looks like us, and I told them we have to bring in Rodney Leon. Rodney Leon is the original architect for the African burial ground in Lower Manhattan. His whole life, he's only preserved historical sacred spaces. Anytime they find a burial ground, he's the first person they call. So we're bringing Rodney Leon on board to work on this project. He's a good friend. That's why I stopped the project. I was like, wait, no one looks like us on this project at all. And I think Rodney Leon should be a great voice. I've never preserved anything, so I'm honored enough that the ancestors chose me to carry this forward, and I have to do it right.
But council member, I think you've forgotten that before you assumed your position, you brought Rodney to the conversation.
I did.
Yeah. So he's been present, and he actually said yes because initially he said no to the project.
Right.
So I
Yes,
want to
I
make
did.
sure that that history is represented in this space.
Thank you. Thank
You're
you. I
welcome.
wasn't even in council. I wasn't even a council member yet. I felt that Rodney's voice would have been so instrumental in this conversation. So he will be part of the team. All of his stuff was given in. I would love for you guys to meet him. He's amazing. He looks like us and he gets it.
Cool.
Those are the hard conversations I have as your elected leaders that people probably don't think. They're like, oh, she's quiet. Actually, I'm not. I'm a fireball. And people know that.
Cool. Well, oh, I just wanted to highlight that Sister Betty came on the call. I didn't know if she wanted to say anything or not, but otherwise, Mama, your hand is still up. I don't know if that's just a legacy hand, but we are at the hour mark, so I don't know if there was
Yeah, I just want to apologize for the delay. An emergency situation, so my apologies.
Oh, no problem. I'm glad you
Yeah.
could get on. I know you on the road.
Yeah. As you know, there's a lot going on with the anti-D theft struggle.
Mm.
And there's a lot of work to be done. But I am so glad this is getting done. And I know I can follow up with you, Sister Muba and Brother Corazon, as to what the marching orders are. I assume we're all going to have homework to do to keep this going.
Well, I wasn't thinking
May
about
I?
assigning any homework, but did someone say, may I? Who said that?
That was Joan. I wanted to address what Ms. Adele put in the chat. Yes, we have been working with Lefferts House. As it pertains, there was one point where we did a march from the burial ground to Lefferts House. So there has been engagement, and it's Lenape Hoken. They have been part of the conversation as the original the stewards of the space. So I just wanted to make sure that all of that is named in this meeting. Thank you.
So you mean like Curtis Zuniga or?
What are you referring to for the Lampe Hoke?
Uh-huh.
I don't remember the gentleman's exact name, but I have been with him. They've actually taken over the Lefferts House for a convening. So I'm sure I can get access to his contact information. But through the collaboration that we already have with the Lefferts House, that access is almost granted.
Oh, great.
Yes.
Cool.
And we've held events there before. There was a community engagement around the African burial ground there. There was a conversation between Rodney Leon and Emmanuel around what it took. The one downtown Manhattan took 20 years. Took 20 years to get done.
The question.
Yeah, Sister Betty, I see your hand.
Do we have a timeline for this burial ground?
To get it done before I leave office. And
Wonderful.
pass it on to the community. This came as an inspiration from Charles Barron. I went to visit in his district. He did Sankofa, and I did a tour, and he was like, we can work with Parks. Parks is the only one that does capital. Everybody wanted it to live in DCLA. DCLA doesn't do capital projects.
Okay.
So yeah, people were like, oh, it should be the cultural, but cultural doesn't build anything. They're just to promote culture.
So it's now, we don't have a definite blueprint timeline in writing registered with the state or the city.
The city, if you can go and you can see the timeline, the project is only 30% because we're still taking input. This is not a me project. This is a community project. So
okay,
it's to engage. If you go, I don't have the link right now. I'll mail it out. I'll have my team mail it out. You can see where the project is. The project is in the first stages of where they were taking input from the community. Went back with the brainstorming and design based on what you told them. If you come back and say, hey, we want to move a little bit here, we want to move here, we want this height, we want that height, that should be incorporated.
Okay.
Are there any plans to have any more community engagement?
Yes, April 22nd.
Now that you have these renderings.
April 22nd.
And when will that take place?
April 22nd, and I'll send out the information.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Joseph, and I know we're running out of time.
Yes.
I'm not sure if you answered me pertaining to the testing. Are
To the
you
what?
saying you go? Are you saying you're going to investigate if the testing is necessary?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I
Mhm.
just wanted clarification on that to make sure if it has to be done, we get it done as
Okay.
quickly.
Okay. But I didn't want it done without community knowledge. That little sign they have on the fence wasn't enough for me.
I agree with you 100%.
I
Thank
guess
you
So,
so much. Thank you for your support. I know that as community people involved, we are here to support whichever way you need us, and hopefully we do not get lost with each other as long as we have been as we move forward. Please make sure my email is shared with you
Yeah.
as others.
Okay. You got it. I think I'm on Corazon email trail, so I'll drop all that information in that email. Good to see you, Joan.
before we go, just one question. Councilmember Joseph, there's someone that I can reach out to on your team to coordinate as far as communication outreach?
I'm gonna drop her email in right now, my chief of staff.
well, I guess if there's no other questions or comments, I guess we can just.
I want to thank you, Brother Corazon. That's my comment. Thank you very much for this Zoom.
You're welcome. And I guess I just personally wanted to say, I know I've come out a little bit rough sometimes, and I wanted to publicly apologize to you, Councilmember Joseph. I didn't have to write some of the things that I wrote the way that I wrote them to express the way that I felt. I could have done it better, and I didn't really mean to, be so gangster, because people, you guys aren't gangsters, and I'm not really like that either. It's just, whatever. But I just wanted to apologize in front of everybody so that you knew that I
Thank,
really wanted to
thank
move
you.
forward. Yeah, you're
Thank
welcome.
you.
You're welcome.
Once in a while, I have to be a government gangster though, because when I want stuff done for my district, it's not happening. I gotta be a government gangster.
Well, okay. Well, you do what you gotta do, but I don't want no infight in between because we working
Okay,
together to do what we gotta do
that's
for the
right.
space.
I
So,
agree. I agree.
and I guess
Corazon, I want to thank you for your leadership.
oh,
Yes, thank you for
Thank
that.
you.
Thank you, Corazon. Regina, I dropped her email and her name.
Thank you. I saw that, and I just want to thank you both for organizing this. And just to state that I will be reaching out. And do we need to give you any feedback on these renderings or anything else, or any other information? Are you going to be sending that to give any feedback, or are you just going to wait to present this on April 22nd?
We're gonna present this. We're gonna have posters, and now, like I said, I want this to be interactive. And one of the
Okay.
things we want to do is we'll start. I didn't book the place yet, but the idea is to start from the African burial ground to have context, to build community, and then over.
cool. Copy.
Whether
Okay.
it's singing, chanting, whatever it is.
I'm
We'll do.
sorry. May I also interject one more time? I want to say thank you to Councilman Joseph for always prioritizing the community and our sacred space, regardless of how we approach you. You listen to the word and the intent and not necessarily vitriol. And I do want to say thank you for that. And thank you to everyone who thought it not robbery to show up tonight, because this is too important to fail. Thank you.
That's right.
If you study the statistics on gentrification in Brooklyn, you realize how important this is.
More than ever. More than ever.
Yeah, 200,000 of us have been gentrified out of Brooklyn in the last 20 years.
Yes, ma'am. And I think it's one of my district is one of them.
Yeah. So I thank all of you.
Well,
And let's get the fight for the deed theft. Horrible.
oh well, Sister Betty is on a committee or something like that. She's been working really hard on that.
Good, good, good.
Okay, well, unless we want to sing ourselves out, I'm just gonna say good night and
Good night, everyone. I have to go.
okay, good night.
Good night.
Peace.
Thank you.
Good
You're
night,
welcome.
everybody. Yoo-hoo.
Good night.
Uhuru.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Uhuru.
Corazon. Thank
Huh?
you so much, and others for being there.
Yes,
Thank
thank you,
you.
Corazon. Thank you, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, I'm gonna go now because I'm hot. Okay, bye.